Breaking news! A move that shocked fans, raised suspicions throughout the league, and may have completely changed the team's future plans. We're not just talking about a contract. We're talking about a change in philosophy, a message sent to the locker room, and a potential ripple effect that could impact the roster for years to come. What the Ravens just did is bold, and it's going to be a hot topic. But before we get into the full story, don't forget to like this post if you're a Ravens football fan. And if you're a die-hard fan, leave a comment below and say, "Go Ravens!" We want to hear from the real fans, because this news is going to generate a lot of discussion. Now, let's get to the details, because this decision might not be what you think. The Baltimore Ravens have officially locked in tight end Mark Andrews with a brand new contract extension, a 3-year deal worth $39.3 million, including a hefty $26 million guaranteed. That breaks down to an average of $13.1 million per season, with nearly $9 million guaranteed each year. Andrews, who was once the subject of trade rumors just a few months ago, is now secured in purple and black for the foreseeable future. This development signals a dramatic shift in strategy for the front office and possibly the end of a two-tight end era. Let's be clear, Mark Andrews isn't just any player. He's the franchise's all-time leading receiver and has been Lamar Jackson's go-to target for years. His chemistry with Lamar is well documented, his route running has remained sharp, and his leadership in the locker room is undeniable. But here's where the controversy begins, and it's a big one. Andrews is 30 years old, and if you've been watching closely, you know his production has been a mixed bag recently. Through this season, he's logged 332 yards and 5 touchdowns, after putting up 673 and 11 last year, and 847 yards in 2022. However, despite those solid numbers, there's a growing concern among Ravens faithful. Andrews isn't the same after the catch threat he once was. He's developed a tendency to go down quickly after the catch, a trait eerily reminiscent of Jason Witten in the twilight of his career. That lack of explosiveness has raised eyebrows, especially when the Ravens had a cheaper and younger alternative waiting in the wings. Which brings us to Isaiah Likely. Coming into the season, all signs pointed to Likely being the tight end of the future. There were even rumblings of a potential contract extension for him as early as July, right before his injury derailed the momentum. At 24 years old, Likely had every opportunity to showcase his value, possibly even take the job outright from Andrews. Instead, he struggled to deliver when it mattered most. Whether it was missed assignments, lackluster production, or just failing to capitalize on key moments, Likely did not seize his chance, and that may have been all the front office needed to see. This extension for Andrews feels like a statement. The Ravens are putting their chips behind the veteran, even if that means paying starter money to a player whose best years may be behind him. And while Andrews remains a reliable target for Lamar Jackson, there's no ignoring the cap implications of this deal. Are the Ravens ready to absorb $13 million annually for a tight end whose YAC is shrinking? Will that number restrict their flexibility in re-signing key defensive players or investing in offensive line depth? And what about Likely's future now? Are we witnessing the closing chapters of his time in Baltimore before 2026 even arrives? It's hard to imagine the front office committing to another 8-figure salary for a second tight end, especially one who hasn't earned it on the field. If the Ravens chose Andrews, does that mean they've given up on Likely? We're also hearing from inside the building that this wasn't just a performance-based decision. There's a leadership and culture aspect as well. Andrews is loved by teammates, respected by coaches, and trusted by Lamar. But are those intangible traits enough to justify this deal long-term? And here's where things get even more layered, because this isn't just about Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. This decision has ripple effects throughout the entire organization, starting at the very top with Lamar Jackson. We all know how much Lamar relies on Mark Andrews. He's been the safety valve, the third down machine, the red zone target. When plays break down, Andrews is often the one finding space and bailing Lamar out. That chemistry is something you can't manufacture, and it's likely one of the reasons the front office felt comfortable paying top dollar to keep him in the building. But is that familiarity enough to justify the price tag, especially when the numbers say otherwise? Over the last few games, Lamar has been in a slump, no touchdowns in 3 straight, 3 picks, 3 fumbles, and a completion percentage that hasn't cracked 57%. Andrews has been a part of that dip. He hasn't been able to stretch the field or create mismatches the way he used to. When you combine that with the fact that Lamar's been under relentless pressure from a shaky offensive line, it raises the question, was this extension really about performance or just maintaining a comfort zone? And that's dangerous, because building a roster around comfort rather than production can set a franchise back years. Think about it. Instead of using that cap space to shore up protection for Lamar or extend emerging stars like Kyle Hamilton or even address future free agent situations, They've tied up a significant chunk of their budget in a player whose best trait may no longer be his play, but his presence. Meanwhile, Isaiah likely sits in limbo. This was supposed to be his year. With Andrews aging and the playbook opening up under Todd Monken, this was the window for likely to prove he was the tight end of the future. And the team gave him every chance. He saw snaps, he saw targets, and at times, he even saw starting reps, but the production never matched the potential. The flashes were there, the athleticism, the route running, but the consistency wasn't. That's the part that stings. Because when the Ravens made this decision, it wasn't just about Andrews, it was about a lack of trust in Likely. The belief that he couldn't shoulder the load, that he couldn't grow into a T1 role. That, when faced with the spotlight, he blinked. And maybe he did. But now, his path to that role in Baltimore is blocked. He may still have time, he may still develop, but the message is loud and clear. This team belongs to Mark Andrews for the next 3 seasons. And with that, you have to ask, what becomes of Isaiah Likely now? Do the Ravens start shopping him quietly in the offseason, trying to get value before he hits free agency? Do they hold on to him in hopes he improves in a limited role? Or, and this is the worst case scenario, does he simply fade into the background, a talent that never got the right opportunity at the right time? On top of that, what happens if Andrews' production continues to decline? What if the injuries pile up, or the explosiveness continues to drop? The Ravens just made a long-term bet on a player trending in the wrong direction physically, and history shows that tight ends at 30+ don't often bounce back. They fade. And while Andrews still has elite hands and toughness, he no longer has the separation speed or elusiveness after the catch. That limits what he can offer in this evolving Monken offense that wants to spread the ball, stretch the field, and exploit mismatches with speed. But even beyond the players, this contract raises big-picture questions about the Ravens' front office. Is this a sign they're playing it safe instead of aggressive? Are they too focused on loyalty and legacy instead of upside and evolution? Because while Andrews is a franchise legend, the NFL is a league where emotion and business rarely mix well, and this deal feels emotional. The other layer to this, and it's a big one, is what this says about the Ravens' offensive identity moving forward. They've been a team built on tight ends and running backs for years. But with the addition of Zay Flowers and the shift to a more vertical, spread offense, this team was supposed to be evolving. Yet, by recommitting to Andrews, they're doubling down on the old formula. Are they building around Monken's system, or are they asking Monken to adapt to the personnel? And if that's the case, is the offensive innovation we expected this season already hitting a ceiling? Look, it's possible that Andrews proves everyone wrong, that he bounces back, has a monster playoff run, and earns every penny of that contract. But if he doesn't, and likely never develops into what he was supposed to be, the Ravens could find themselves in a tight spot, literally and financially. So now, we put the question to you, Ravens flock, was this extension a smart investment in a franchise legend, or a costly misstep based on sentiment? Is the tight end position locked in, or have the Ravens created more problems than they've solved? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the next one on screen right now. We've got more exclusive Ravens content coming your way every day. Go Ravens!